Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about makeup brushes 101. I'm going to give you an in-depth overview of makeup brushes that are out there, and then at the end I'm going to do a roundup of the 7 brushes that I think everyone should have in their kit. Now these brushes are not brand specific. These are brushes that I've just picked up over time and that I really love and enjoy. And it's quite an in-depth overview, so we're going to start with the face and then move on to the eyes and then move on to the cheeks, and I will leave timestamps below if you want to skip forward to the part that interests you most. So without further ado, let's get to it. So starting off with the face, the first thing I'm going to look at is foundation brushes. I've got a couple of different options, and these are really great. So this is the Real Techniques, and I like it because it's got quite a firm head, but at the same time the bristles are really soft. And this is perfect for liquid foundation because it shears it out beautifully, and it's fuss free, there's no mess. You can also wet the tip of your brush with a setting spray or just with water if you want to give your foundation a more sheer effect. I've got another option, and this is a Zoeva. It's very, very similar to the Real Techniques. These are all quite similar. Again, quite dense, firm bristles. Brilliant for smooth coverage. And then I've got a slightly different one. This is a Real Techniques stippling brush. And this is more for if you've got quite a thick foundation and you really want to shear it out because the bristles are further apart and it's a softer brush, so it's going to give you a nice sheer coverage of anything that's a little bit too thick, and you can really kind of move it around with this because the brushes are quite splayed. So this is a lovely one as well for foundation. Moving on to powder, I like a more precise powder brush, so I use this Real Technique. So this is actually a blush brush, but this is brilliant for loose powder, and it's just very soft and it's easy to get into all the contours of your face. So this is a lovely one for loose powder. Then I have a Zoeva powder brush, and this is slightly different in that it's got a flatter head. So this is great for compact powder. You just dip it into your compact, just like that. Just flatten it into your compact powder, and you just apply, and it's really nice and easy for compact powder application. It's lovely, bristles are lovely and soft. And then I've got the Mac Daddy of powder brushes. This is a no-name brand, but it's rather fun. It's absolutely enormous. This is lovely for brushing powder onto your décolleté, down your neck. I find it a little bit big and overwhelming for face powder, but you know, if you're in a hurry, you can use it at a push because it covers a large surface area. So this one is really great. Then moving on to concealer, I've got a couple of different options here. I do enjoy putting concealer on with my fingers just because your fingers warm up the concealer and it kind of blends into the skin nicely, and it's also really quick and easy. So that's my personal favorite way of applying concealer. But I do have this concealer brush. This is also a no-name brand. It's got a kind of slanted tapered head, and it fits really nicely into the contours underneath your eyes, and so it really does make applying concealer quite a pleasure. So I do sometimes reach for this one as well. Then I've got 2 versions of the same thing. These are small sort of flat topped concealer brushes, and these are also brilliant for applying cream eyeshadow or liquid eyeshadow. And again, these also just fit beautifully into the contours under your eyes. And this one in particular is great for spot concealing, just to get into those tiny areas where you want a little bit more precision. Then moving on to eyes, so I've got quite a range here, but a lot of them do very, very similar things. So again, you don't need every single brush on the market or every different kind of shape because a lot of these are really versatile. So this one is a flat topped eyeshadow brush, and this is perfect for lid eyeshadow application because it is so precise, and it really just fits beautifully onto the lid. You can just press your shadow in. It's very soft as well. You can also use this with a little bit of shadow on the end just to do your under eye shadow if you're wanting a more sort of smoked out diffused look for that. Another version of the same thing is this. This is a no-name brand. It's got a much bigger head, so this is great if you're in a hurry, or if you've got an eyeshadow that you just want to apply one color to the whole lid. This is great, and it's really quick and easy. You just pat your eyeshadow on. Would highly recommend. And then another version again of the same thing. This is also a more precise eyeshadow brush, but it's got slightly longer bristles, and again lovely to pack eyeshadow onto the lid, and then also just to blend it out. And you can also blend under the eyes with this because the bristles are slightly longer and they're tapered. Then moving on to the crease, so I've got, this is a Zoeva Petite shadow brush, petite crease brush, and this is fantastic for hooded eyes, and I do have slightly hooded eyes, so I enjoy it for applying shadow just to the crease, just sweeping it on or patting it on, just to create a defined crease color. This is lovely for that. Then I've got a slightly bigger version of that, and this is the MAC 217. So it's just got slightly bigger bristles, and this is great for the crease as well, just to apply your shadow in sweeping motions. Now this brush I've had for years and years and years. I've probably had this for in excess of 15 years. And I've really looked after it well. And if you look after your brushes well, if you clean them regularly, they will last a lifetime. I've done a video on how I clean my makeup brushes, and I'll put a link to that up here if you're interested in watching. Another brush that does a very similar thing is from the Body Brush, their crease brush. This is also lovely. It's not as tapered as the MAC one, but it's lovely and soft, and it's great for diffusing your crease shadow. It's really got a lovely touch to it, and you can really be quite precise with this brush as well. And then another version of the MAC 217 is this Zoeva medium crease brush, and again very similar. It does a very similar thing to what the MAC brush does. And then once you've applied your shadow to your crease, you're going to need a brush just to diffuse the edges. So where your eyeshadow meets your brow bone, you want to just diffuse that and blend it out. And so it's a good idea to get a separate brush for that. Now this is a no-name brand, well, it's actually a Carla brand, which is available at Dischem. I love these brushes. They're quite hard, quite long wearing, they're quite hardy. This looks quite industrial. It looks like a paintbrush, but it's actually fantastic for just diffusing that color and blending it out. So for this you'll need a slightly wider, softer bristled brush, and I find that this is absolutely perfect for that. So just where you've applied your crease color, you've blended it, but you just need an extra blend of where your crease color meets your brow bone. This is absolutely perfect. Then moving on to application for eyeshadow underneath the eye, I have a classic pencil brush, and this is brilliant for definition, for defining your under eye color. It gives you very precise application, and this is wonderful. You can also use it for applying shadow into the corners of the eyes because it is so precise. Another take on that is a smaller flat tapered eyeshadow brush. This does the same thing. It gives you a slightly more intense application of eyeshadow under the eye, but it's also great for applying eyeshadow into the corners of the eye. You can use it for highlight in the inner corner as well. It's lovely for that, and you can also use it obviously to line your upper lid with shadow. Gives you a nice precise placement. And then following on from that, something that's very similar is this flat topped eyeshadow brush. Also great for applying eyeshadow underneath the eyes. You can also use it to line the upper lid, and again you can use it to apply shadow into the corners of your eyelids. Great for nice precise application. And then I have an eyebrow spoolie. This is great just for taming the eyebrows. Now it's not really necessary to buy one of these individually, because a lot of your brow pencils will come with one of these anyway. But this is great to have on hand. It just makes your brows behave. It makes sure that they're all going in the same direction. Highly recommend. And then for the application of brow powder, I have got an angled brush. This is a Zoeva. I absolutely love this. It's just the cut of the brush. It's really firm, and it's just got a very precise slant. It's got quite a sharp slant, so it's great for eyebrow powder application. You can also use this for applying a winged liner. It's really versatile. Would highly recommend. Then moving on to cheeks. So something that's really nice to have, it's a nice to have but you don't absolutely need it, is a contoured blush brush. And I use this specifically for bronzer and for contour because of its slanted edge. It just fits beautifully into the contours of the face, and it's really good for applying bronzer. And you can use this, of course, you can use this to apply blusher as well. I mean, it's nice and precise enough. You just pop your blusher onto the flat top and you can just apply it like that. So this is really quite a versatile brush, and again it's great for bronzer because it gets into the contours of your face, and also for bronzing underneath the chin, but you don't absolutely have to have one of these. Then moving on to blush, I've got a couple of different variations. Now I like a more precise blush brush, just because it gives you more control. So I use something like this. This is a Bobbi Brown. It's beautiful. It's very densely packed, but it's soft at the same time. So it really is great in that it can give you, very precise application, and it's great for getting into less pigmented eyeshadows. You can really pack it on with this, and then you can just tap the blush in. So it's really good for that. I really like this. You can also use this. This can double up for bronzer as well, because it does give you nice control. Another one I've got in this is fantastic for when you're using a more pigmented blush and you want a less intense color, but the blush happens to be quite pigmented. Then I would use something that has more splayed, softer bristles. This is a Smashbox brush, and it looks like nothing on earth. It looks like, it could never really do anything, but in fact it really is a very precise blush brush. And I think it's just because of the way that the bristles are cut. I don't know, there's just something about this, but it's great for picking up pigment, and it's really great for diffusing blush. Again, if you just want a softer application of whatever blush you're using, this is really great for that. Highly recommend this one. And then I've got, this is an Eco Tools brush. Now this is really quite firm. It's got quite a firm head, and I use this for cream blush. I find that this is absolutely brilliant. You can just dip it into your cream blush, and then you can just lightly pat the blush on and blend it out at the same time. So it's really good for that because the bristles are so dense. I wouldn't use it with a highly pigmented blush because you might have a problem blending it out, but for things like cream blush, it's amazing, and it's really robust. It washes well, never had a problem, it doesn't shed. So I would highly recommend something like that. And then I've got this one, and this I use for precise application when you just want something on the apples of the cheek. So you've applied your base blush, but you just want a pop of something else on the apples. This is lovely because it is small and it's so precise, and I just love the way the head is dome shaped. So you just tap it into your blush, and then you can just pop it precisely onto the apples of the cheeks without compromising any of the other color that you've put down. So this is really great for precise blush application. And then finally onto highlighting brushes. I've got 3 different variants here, and they're all quite unique. So the first one is from the Body Shop range, and I really like this because it's quite tapered. They call this a highlighting brush. I bought it for blush application because I thought it would be quite nice and precise, but it's kind of a little bit of an awkward shape for blush. It's absolutely perfect for bronzer, for getting into the contours, for bronzing underneath the cheekbones, or even at a push you could use it to lightly bronze the sides of your nose. But it's also perfect for highlight application. So the tip of the brush just kind of fits perfectly into the contours of your cheeks. So this is great if you've got a very pigmented highlight and you just want to kind of diffuse it a little bit. You can use something like this. Would highly recommend it for that. And then another one which does pretty much the same thing. This is a Real Techniques, it's called a shaping brush, and this has got a myriad of uses. I mean, you can use this for contour, you can use it for highlight, you could use it for precise blush application because it is slightly domed, so it lends itself more to blush or powder application than this one would. But it's also perfect for highlight. So again, you just dip it into your highlight. If you're using something that's quite highly pigmented, you can just lightly dip it into your highlight, tap off the excess, and then just use it to lightly highlight the top of the cheekbones. It works really, really well for that. And then finally, the fan brush. I am not a fan of the fan brush. This is not one that I reach for, just because I find that it gives you less control with application. But if you're using a highlight that's very natural, then this would be great for that, because then you don't need to be too precise. So you just sweep it on to the tops of your cheekbones. Again, you can also use it for a highlight that's quite intense, because it doesn't have the control, but it'll definitely diffuse any highlight that you kind of feel is a little bit too much. You can also use it to highlight down the center of your nose, and also to highlight the middle of your forehead. So it really, I don't reach for it, as I say, probably as much as I should, but it's lovely and soft and definitely gets the job done with powder highlight. And so now on to the roundup of my top 7. These are all brushes that I think would work well in anybody's kit. And again, they're all really versatile. They can be used for more than one thing. So starting off with my powder brush, my Real Techniques, I would recommend something like this. You could also use it for blush at a push, but it's really a lovely one for powder. Would highly recommend. Then for a blush brush, I would go for something that's offers you a little bit of precision. So again, I would say something like this Bobbi Brown one, which is the bristles are quite firmly packed, but they're soft. Great for patting on blush, can also be used for bronzing. Then for foundation, I would recommend something like this. This is the Zoeva, but it just makes applying foundation a cinch. It's really quick and easy, and it just gives you a beautiful, flawless finish. Again, you can wet the brush for more sheer application, but I would highly recommend something like that. Then onto eyes, I would highly recommend a tapered eyeshadow brush, something like that. Great for lid application. For the crease, I would recommend the MAC 217, or this is a Body Shop brush that does exactly the same thing. Just great for getting pigment into the crease, and again, it does its own little job of blending as well. You can also use this, of course, to apply eyeshadow to the lid. So again, quite versatile. And then I would highly recommend a small eyeshadow tapered brush, and this is great for getting shadow onto the lower lash line. Again, for applying eyeshadow into the corner, into the outer corner of the lid, and you can also use this to apply a highlight. And then last but not least, I would recommend a bigger blending brush. So this again, just to diffuse the color when you're applying it to your eyes and you want to just blend anything out and diffuse it. So you can diffuse it on your lid, you can use it where your crease color meets your brow bone, just to diffuse that out. This is fantastic for that. You can use it for highlight. You can also use it for applying concealer under the eyes. So definitely one that I recommend. And so guys, that's it for Makeup Brushes 101. I'm going to be doing a video next week of how I achieved this full face of makeup using the 7 brushes that I have recommended. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.